So, after having a poor experience buying a new IP camera for adding extra security to my shed, I thought I'd make a video giving some advice about buying IP cameras. So this is the one I got, and it's a SriCam, and I got it for about £30. These are the newer ones that are 720p and use the ONVIF standard as well, and at least on paper they sound good, but they are very lacking indeed. They are okay, I suppose, for the most basic of users, but for someone like me, they are pretty useless, and I'll show you how in a moment. These cameras do not have a web interface, and that's one big letdown. You cannot just type in this camera's IP address from a browser and just go into it and set it up, because there is no web interface there. There is nothing you can do. You have to download the app, scan the QR code, or input the camera's ID and your own username and password into the app, and then set it up from there. And really, that's the only way you can set it up. It comes with a PC application as well, which is even more limited than the Android application, and you really can't do anything with it. I'll show you just now. So here's the camera with the app, and the pan and tilt controls are they're not really that great. In fact, I'm struggling to get it to work, and I think that's because mainly because the Wi-Fi is actually quite poor up here. So basically on the app, these are all the settings you can access. In the network setting, it's really quite limited. I'm just waiting for it to load because the Wi-Fi here is not good. Basically, you supposedly can set a manual IP address, but there's not really much point, because all of your data is going through the SriCam server, so you've no idea how secure that is. You cannot access this camera directly. Yeah, you've got some sort of record settings where you can record on motion detect, and that works. It records to an SD card into a format which no other media player can play. And you've really not got. There's really not a lot you can do with this. It's extremely limited. It's quite sad, really. You can't even change the video quality or anything. It's pretty crippled in terms of functionality. And the pan and tilt control isn't that fantastic either. This here is the SriCam PC application, which is pretty much the only way you can access this camera on a PC. You can use other programs like iSpy, but it's really quite a bad setup, really. The pan and tilt is pretty crap because you have to keep clicking it for it to move. You can't just click and hold it. And as you can see, when there's movement, the video just all breaks up into blocks, and it's kind of poor, really. I think the Foscam video that comes off the Foscams looks nicer, and with this PC application there's no settings. You can't go into your camera and change the settings. You have to use the smartphone app for that. You can go into playback, and that's quite bad as well. I've tried to play back videos with it, and sometimes when you seek through it, this is playing back the videos over the network directly connected to the camera, it just completely messes up. The only way to play back the videos is to take the SD card out and access them that way, but even then it's not really ideal, because they're a file format that only this software can play. It's an AV file. It's useless. You can't do anything else with it. So if someone did break into your house, how are you going to share that with the police? Record a video of your monitor and send that off? I don't know how you'd go about doing that. And now on to the vastly superior Foscam FI8910W. This is what I had to end up buying, because I'm just going to be returning this because it is just absolutely useless. This camera is brilliant. It has audio out and in, so like you can connect speakers up to it so you can tell people to bugger off even more loudly, and audio in if you maybe want to plug in a more sensitive microphone or whatever. The only thing with this camera is it takes a bit longer to boot up, so you just basically connect power, and then once it starts moving around by itself, that's when it's booted up and ready to go. So here I've got Internet Explorer up, and I'm using that because this camera has an ActiveX add-on, which works really well. Basically that's only used for Internet Explorer as IP cameras, and that's about it. It's no good for anything else. So all I do is just type in IP address, and when you first set up this camera it will force you to make a rather secure password, because when these cameras first came out in about 2014, the default user was admin with no password, and you just type that in and people were just setting up their IP cameras with the username as admin and just leaving them. So that resulted in things like this happening. Well, you certainly wouldn't want that happening to you in the middle of the night, although it would be quite funny for whoever was doing it. And there was unfortunately sad individuals who are logging into unsecured baby monitors. People were using these cameras as baby monitors without putting a password on them, and there was a story where someone had logged into it and was shouting and swearing at a baby or something like that. But now it's all good. They make you secure them. So once you get into the camera, as you can see, it's very responsive. The video looks pretty decent. It doesn't break up into squares all the time when it moves. Obviously the video will be quite a bit slower if you're accessing this camera over the internet, and that's reasonably easy to set up. I won't go into detail about that. There's lots of videos that can help you do that. So what I'll do now is let you have a listen to a sample of the audio quality. It's not fantastic, but you can definitely tell what people are saying. So this is the quality of the audio that comes off the camera. Yeah, it's not brilliant, but certainly better than nothing. Now the only problem with this camera is recording when motion is detected. It does that automatically. You have to go into the settings to do that, but you can only really do that if you've got a computer with Internet Explorer open, and it'll basically just record to your hard drive. So this was recording automatically because it was detecting motion. So if I go into my documents folder, I should be able to find the file. So as you can see, hopefully, when I waved my hand in front of there, that changed to a pause symbol, which means it started recording automatically. So basically all it's doing is just putting AVI files in there, and if you want sound you have to turn on the sound here, so it records the sound with the video. But there is another option where you don't have to have Internet Explorer running. You go into FTP settings here, and you can upload to an FTP server such as a Raspberry Pi on your network or something else remote outside your network, and you could upload an image while there's images while there's motion being detected, like an image every second, which is usually good enough. And you can make a time lapse as well if you select that, and just put whatever seconds you want in there. You can make a time lapse. That's how I did my 1 year time lapse. I won't go into port forwarding. You can view tutorials about that, but basically all this video is about is just saying how brilliant these old cameras from 2014 are. So customizable, and they are brilliant. I would certainly never buy any of the newer stuff. It's just a shame these are so rare and difficult to get.